Greetings everyone and welcome down to the Prop Shop. I'm Bill Duran and today I'm going to continue our series on molding and casting. Now, ever since we kicked off this series, you guys have been asking me how to mold and cast things like masks and helmets. Well, the simplest way to do that is of course with a brush on mold. And today I'm going to show you how to do that. But first, why would you do that? A master like this mask here is kind of a wacky, weird shape. Now I could just put a border around this like a wall and then fill it up with silicone, and that would totally make a perfectly usable mold. However, it would waste a ton of silicone. With a brush on mold, you're able to make a very nice mold of your piece without wasting a whole bunch of silicone. Now the master, of course, can be made from just about anything. This is a casting that we did that we resculpted and then we molded, but you could make it out of wood or plastic, or you could sculpt things out of clay. In fact, if you want to see some really great sculpting and mold making, you want to go check out our buddy David over at Evil Effects. He live streams all of his stuff. We'll put a link to that down in the description. Now, of course, if you're going to do a brush up mold like this, then there are a lot of things to consider. First off, you want to make sure that your master is secured on a surface where you're going to be working with it. Now, this does get a little bit messy. Silicone tends to get everywhere, so you want to plan for that. Obviously, don't do this on a carpeted area because you'll just get silicone in the carpet. You also want to plan how you're going to cast pieces out of the mold. So for this mask right here and this mold right here, it's almost like a bowl. And when you pour your silicone in there, the resin can slush around up to those edges and get nice even coverage. An example where I didn't do that very well is this handsome Jack mask. You can see that there's a low spot right here that silicone can and certainly does escape out of when I'm trying to cast from this. Just plan how you're gonna slush or cast your piece out of your mold before you start laying down any silicone. For this particular mold, I like using Rebound 25 silicone. Obviously, we'll have a link down below. It's really great stuff and is perfectly designed for doing brush on molds. We also need some thickener. Thi-Vex is a product that does exactly that. That will take your silicone and make it even thicker for spreading it on, almost like icing. And we'll also need some scrap silicone to make registration keys. At this point, I have a bunch of old molds that I will actually cut up the silicone on and use those as registration, but you could also just pour your own from a little extra silicone. So you have all your materials, you have your model ready to go, and you're ready to get started. First, you want to clay up any areas on your master so that it is ready to, like I said, make a really nice looking sort of bowl shape for your casting. You can also sculpt in a little clay trench around it to catch any of your extra silicone as it sort of sloughs off of your piece as it cures. You want to mix up just a little bit of your silicone. This is enough just to brush on a print coat and capture all of the details on the surface of your model. This layer gets mixed up, poured, and then brushed on, covering your entire surface. And then you let it cure. Like I said, it's gonna drip and kind of get everywhere, but that's the nature of the beast. This is a sort of a messy process. Once the silicone sets up enough that you can brush on the next layer, then you can do exactly that. It takes a couple of hours, so if you're gonna be doing this type of work, you wanna set out a good afternoon to get all of your silicone laid down. But as you go, you just keep adding more and more layers of silicone. Once you have that print coat down and it's not going to go anywhere when you brush on the next layer, you can mix up another batch of silicone. This time add a little bit of that Thi-Vex. Again, like I said, this will turn it into kind of a paste, almost like cake icing, and then you can spread it around on the surface of your piece. The goal here is to kind of fill in any of the features that are on your piece so that the surface gets more and more rounded off. You'll want to, again, add multiple layers. For example, on this mask, I think we ended up with 4 good layers of silicone. So brush on a couple more thickened layers of silicone to build out the thickness of your mold. Try and be careful not to trap any air as it goes. Once you have a good 2 or 3 layers of silicone on there, you can add your registration keys. These will be instrumental in making your mold lock with the jacket mold later in the process. Cut up an old mold or take some of your scrap silicone that you've got and place it all over the surface of your mold, creating little bumps. And then you can spread the next layer of silicone over those, and they will all cure together and look really weird and bumpy. But trust me, it's the way to do it. Then you can let your silicone fully cure. Rebound 25 will set up in about 6 hours, but I usually let it sit overnight. Then the next day, I'll put the jacket mold on it. And again, there are lots of different materials you could use for the jacket mold. In this case, we're using Plasti-Paste. It's really, really easy to use. You could just brush on a big old shell of Plasti-Paste on top of your mold. But in this case, we wanted to make a 2-part jacket mold. And this is so that the jacket mold would come apart easily. You see those registration keys we added in the silicone while making the silicone lock in really nicely with the jacket mold will do exactly that. They'll make it kind of hard to pull out. So sometimes, especially if you're making a helmet, you'll want to plan your jacket mold to be in a couple of pieces. For this dragon priest mask that we made a dividing wall with a couple of pieces of plywood. These were then drilled together with some nuts and bolts to hold them together during the jacket molding process. Then we hot glued them over our silicone mold and started applying the Plasti-Paste. This was done in a couple of layers. The Plasti-Paste gets mixed together in a 2-part mixture. It kind of has like a thickened applesauce thing going on there, and then it gets spread on over your silicone. This stuff sets up pretty quickly. In just a couple of hours. It should be pretty good. But again, I usually tend to let these things sit overnight so that I know that they're fully cured. When the Plasti-Paste is fully cured, you can pop that sucker open, whether that means just popping it off of your silicone mold, or if you made a multi-part jacket mold like we did, you can unscrew those bolts and voila, you can reveal your silicone below. Then finally, you can take the silicone off of your master and you've got a finished mold. You just slowly and carefully peel away that silicone, revealing the master below, and you're done. You just made a brush-on mold and you've got a wonderful little bowl or dish there that's shaped like your master that you can then go and slush cast a copy of your piece. As far as the actual slush casting goes, we're gonna show you that next week. So stay tuned for that, of course. And if you haven't already and you're new to the channel, you should definitely subscribe. We have a whole pile of mold making videos that we've done recently that you should definitely go and check out. Other than that, you should be prepared now to go and try and mold your own mask or helmet. Thank you guys so much for checking out our videos. I'm really excited to see you guys start doing some molding and casting on your own. If you started doing that, then of course I want to see it. Let me know in the comments down below, or of course you can send me a message over on Twitter. That's @Chinbeard. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys all next week when we do some exciting slush casting. Until then, go make some molds. See you.